Hey everybody, my name is Wyatt and I'm Ferda Tunes, and today we got another discography ranking for you guys. As promised, we are doing Young Lean today, ranking all of his albums, mixtapes, and EPs under the Young Lean name. Going over what I think of each one and why I ranked them the way I did, worst to best style as usual. If for whatever reason you're not too familiar with Young Lean, I dropped a video just last week going over a bit of a sound analysis introduction like I did with Bladee, that was so popular a few months ago, so go check that out if you want more of an introduction. We're just gonna kind of dive into it. Yeah, not much else to say really. All of Young Lean's albums, mixtapes, and EPs, worst to best. Let's start.
Drop top, candlelight, cop drop, samurai.
It's always fun to hear high energy from Lean, and he gets some really dope flows off on these two songs that come off impressively smooth for him. Both of these tracks are real solid bangers. There's just not too much to them outside of just hype, fun, catchiness, and some cool references. Still, Lean's energy is great, and they're pretty dope tracks, just nothing to really lose your mind over.
I want the money, I don't care about this.
Another only 2-song EP, it's only 4 minutes long, and it's weird to say this early in the video, but it's like one of his best projects. 2 Cups is great. It's a really cute, bubbly, kind of melodic pop trap banger. It's pretty low-key, super catchy. But Smirnoff Ice is one of my favorite songs from him. This is a banger that is as hard-hitting and loud and piercing to the ears as it is uplifting and euphoric. The chorus here feels like a youth anthem. Like, I feel like I just want to be at a music festival just screaming my brains out to it. It's too short for its own good, but it's so damn sweet, man. And it's honestly a pretty interesting taster for people just getting into him.
Bitches come and go, bro. But you know I stay.
From what I'm aware of, this is Young Lean's first official project, and it pains me to put it this low because it is still so great and easily one of the most iconic releases in his discography. Ginseng Strip is one of, if not the most essential cloud rap song ever made. Each song on here holds up very well for its lo-fi but bright atmosphere and just baffling lyrics. This was Young Lean's start, and looking back, it's still really great despite it being very amateurish. It's the perfect quick little EP to just toss on while you're smoking and need a quick geek up. The production shines brightest for me here, but Lean got a very stronger presence on his songs very quickly after this project. But you cannot write this off. It is such a fun, warm, cozy, lovable listen. It's just fun and weird. It's another anomaly in Lean's discography, which we'll get to. And it's easy to see the cult following that came off just the first 2 songs off of here, really. This tape is probably the most interchangeable spot on the list. Like, the Lavender EP is a trillion times more consistent than this, but the highs on here are astronomical. The whole middle section of this tape just feels like another peak in Lean's sound. It's amazing. Hennessy and Sailor Moon is easily one of his most heartfelt, emotional songs. It features this just cascading wall of sound, of dreamy pop with just the perfect amount of flavor of their usual trap percussion. All this just propels you into the chorus, unlike any other cloud rap song I've ever heard. It's easily one of his most impressive songs. Crystal City with A$AP Ferg is an outrageous banger. It sounds just as good on a late night drive as it would like going up in the club. Not even joking. Cashin feels like just a standard definition for just a great cloud rap song. It's got all the components in there. I do think that Get It Back is one of his worst songs, so we don't really end on the highest note, and even the start of it is kind of rough, but it is definitely one of his most versatile releases and still a fantastic mixtape, and honestly a really good spot for beginners to start with.
360 worldwide, birds stuck on the map sometimes.
Definitely one of his most unique and out there releases in terms of sound, and it really feels like he was bringing a lot of refreshing ideas into his sound. He had experimented with and dropped other kinds of music under different names around this time, so it makes sense that it's sort of, different things have been incorporated into his core sound. There's 2 very short songs on here that I think are kinda as French Hotel and Rope Man. Everything else on here is stellar. Definitely some of his most interesting songs appear on here, and I have to mention Bender and Girlfriend. Just It's this more poppy, serene track that slowly transitions into his more, I guess, typical rap stuff, into this just beautiful, poppy, serene, I'm gonna say it again, sound wall. With this simple but brain-melting melody, everything, it just feels like a warm blanket. Like, easily one of his most comforting and, again, beautiful songs in his discography. Friday the 13th is one of his best, just hype, catchy bangers. You cannot miss that, an absolute essential. And Silicone Wings, I have to mention, I physically cannot get that song out of my head this week. It is so catchy, so fun, so quick. Love it to death. Great, great, great project. That's just the right length. It's really short and sweet. It really feels like a unique little treat in amongst his discography. His sound carried this more dense and heavier feel to it all. It's one of my favorite late night albums, period, at this point. I think Young Lean took cloud rap to new heights with this tape. He just showed up to the scene with just this insane level of weirdness and alienation from just other forms of hip-hop. He just held nothing back. Looking back, it still feels like a pretty bold move to debut with, because this tape still sounds like just such an anomaly. It's so unfathomably weird and distinctly unique. Describing its sound and feel to someone who's never even listened to cloud rap is literally impossible. I've come to that conclusion. Especially when you love it just as much as I do, because the flaws on here become just more and more admirable the more I listen to them. But, of course, like I mentioned in my other Lean video, the first time I heard this, I didn't even make it like 3 tracks in before just shutting that shit off. Like I said in my other Lean video, I can totally see how some people can just listen to this and just think, like, this is just mindless bullshit music, and critique it as hard as I am praising it, but it's just such a unique, niche little project. Hurt is one of his most essential songs. I mentioned you need to see the music video if you haven't seen it. It's such a funny song, songwriting wise, but the beat is one of the catchiest things I think I've ever heard. It's just such a weird tape. I can't emphasize it enough, and the comfort it gives me is even weirder, but it's so special. He's come a long way from this, but I still had to put it so high because despite it being super amateurish, especially, you know, considering everything he's put out now, it's still such a profoundly weird and fun listening experience, especially at late night. It just let everything just ride with it, man. I don't know. I'm gonna spend the next 20 minutes just trying to talk about this tape because it's genuinely, it's just a hard thing to speak about. You gotta hear it. I don't know. Warlord saw Young Lean take the dark feel from his debut and incorporate it into this icy industrial sound, almost overblowing throughout this entire album, and he really finds the perfect balance between his goofy and his serious subject matter, rapping wise. Songs like Highway Patrol, Hoover, and Miami Ultras are these huge dystopian bangers. It's so loud, it's like it's raiding your ears. It's amazing. And songs like Immortal, Stay Down, Air Force Ones, and Afghanistan have just too much swag for their own good. They're so smooth but so hard hitting. And there is quite a few moments on this album that held it back a few spots for me. Again, I'd say Unknown Death is a lot more consistent than this, but the highs on here just kind of blow it out of the water. And the lows aren't really that bad at all. They just can be pretty redundant, like his flow on Eye Contact or the extended vocal line on Fire. These songs are still really solid. I feel like I kind of have to be high out of my mind to not notice how much they kind of drag the album out. Still, I can't praise this one enough. This one has the bangers. If you're looking for slaps, like, you know, this is it. And do not miss that first track, Immortal, and Miami Ultras. Miami Ultras, one of his best songs, easily. Lean's debut album remains his most thematic, and one of the best displays of just his overall sound coming together for a great and immersive front-to-back listening experience. It's such an essential example of cloud rap and has become, honestly, a staple in the genre. A common complaint I see is that Lean got a little bit too serious or too dark with this album and took away some of the amateurish charm that made Unknown Death so great. And I do see it, but I feel like it was replaced with just this raw display of Lean's feelings and much more loud, bombastic sounds. Most songs on here feel huge. It's another essential late night listen. And the flaws to me on here are so easily ignorable and don't drag out nearly as much, even as much as most of his later releases. As much as I love and admire songs like Blinded and Lean World, his vocals on the hook are pretty bad. But I feel like that's the only really bad thing I can say about this entire album. He makes up for it in so many other ways, and his vocal spots, literally, those are the two standout bad ones. Everywhere else is more than fine to me. But pretty much every song here has stood the test of time amongst all of his other projects. Dare I say it's a classic? At this point, I don't really... Is that even an argument? At the very least, it is probably the most essential cloud rap album amongst his catalog, and one of the best of the decade.
Walking through the fire, sapphire diamond sized.
Easily Young Lean's most emotionally potent album. When he said Young Lean is just the sound of him bearing his soul, this feels like the best example of that. This whole album flows in this psychedelic trip manner almost, and it's pretty harrowing, but it brings this unique level of warmth and comfort that his other releases just don't give me. They do give me, but this one is just delivered in this otherworldly way. It really opens itself up to you, and it feels like you're being welcomed directly into Lean's world. It almost feels like his sound, after having its back blown out on Warlord, is stripped back to its bare bones and its fundamentals and thrives in this weird, sad underworld, and a world is what he creates on this album, for real. Front to back, you are immersed. He sounds a lot more mature and focused on here. Songs are a lot more focused and clean cut. Even vocal spots that are pretty rough, like on the song Push, he puts these effects on his voice that just shoot up the appeal in a different way. Whereas on Unknown Memory, the weak vocal spots were just him not being a good singer and stretching his limits a bit. This album features some of his catchiest, beautiful, and most serene songs like Silver Arrows, Hunting My Own Skin, and Yellow Man. And how could I not mention Red Bottom Sky and Agony, two of his most essential songs and easily, maybe, the most powerful and emotional songs in his catalog. The way these songs work with the production seem to slowly immerse you more and more. By the end of the song, you're just completely encapsulated in this world. Like I said, it feels like you're taking a trip with Lean through his mind. Fallen Demon is a perfect example of this, I think. It just slowly punches harder and harder and cascades into this glorious banger. Holy fuck! You seeing that? Oh my god. Big shout outs to the love of my life for the birthday present. Oh boy. Yeah, Lean's most recent album just so happens to be his best in my eyes. I think it's his most grand display of talent, creativity, and overall just solid song ideas. With the track list being very all over the place from song to song and vibe to vibe, this is a very consistently versatile album. To me, it's the smoothest and most entertaining front-to-back listen from him. It almost runs like a greatest hits, with just new sounds and feels and vibes just kind of popping up everywhere. But everything that Lean's sound has progressed into up until this point, every vibe he's touched on throughout his catalog, was just knocked out of the park here. He really brings just the most confident version of himself, and the music is all elevated with him. The bangers on here, like Iceheart, Hellraiser, and Violence, they may not be as exciting or loud or hard-hitting as some of them bangers off Warlord or Unknown Memory, but they incorporate a wider sense of Lean's sound altogether. Songs like Yayo, Acid at 7-Eleven, Dogboy, and Low feel like Lean progressing without even doing anything super new or unique to him. These are just seamlessly some of his smoothest songs. Holy fuck, is a tongue twister. Just some of his most enjoyable songs all around, and again, smooth. Boy Life in EU feels like a career-defining, life-affirming song. It made it very high on my best singles of 2020 video list last year. God, just every time I hear it, I'm just blown away at the sheer passion incorporated into everything within this song. It really seems he's gotten to a comfortable point artistically, and this album really just feels like the cherry on top of the incredible discography he's built up over the last decade. You may not think this is Lean's best. I know the fans for sure are gonna have, you know, all kinds of different picks. But to me, this is just, it just really feels like the total package from him. And to me, it easily has the least amount of flaws front to back. There isn't a single song on here that I would even come close to calling bad. And with this just being such a grand display of versatility and it being so well executed, it weirdly feels like another refreshing start for Lean, like I said with Stranger. I really think he can expand his sound further. As much as I adore and love this album and was blown away by it after going through his whole discography just last year, I wouldn't be too surprised if he just knocks this one out of the park with his next album, like he did with Stranger, clearly. And with just the way he's been progressing from project to project in my eyes, I really think he could blow this one out of the water. I wouldn't even know what to do with myself if he does. Stars also made it very high on my best albums of 2020 year-end list video last year. And I'll say it again like I said it there, this is the best cloud rap album I've heard in years. And oh my god, I think that's it. I mean, really, I could talk about each one of these projects for hours, for sure. But I'll make sure to cover more Lean stuff in the future, obviously, so look out for that. I'm hella excited for whatever he releases next. I'm gonna do one of these videos for Bladee, and I got so much stuff coming that I really think you guys will enjoy. So please subscribe if you enjoyed, leave a like, and please leave a comment and tell me what you agreed with, what you disagreed with, how you would rank Lean's albums, and why, which one's your favorite. Tell me it all. I love to hear it. And I believe that's it. Go check out some of my other discography ranking videos if you want to see more videos like this. I've done Daft Punk, Slow Dive, Schoolboy Q, and much more to come. Follow me on Instagram and come talk some shit with me on Twitter, all that good stuff. Links in the description. And much love. Thank you for everything. We'll see you guys in the next one.